Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. I do want to get my stream avatars set up because I've been forgetting that lately. I think today we're just working on a couple little polishy things. It's late. I relaxed on Friday evening, which was nice. But I do want to get some sort of stuff done. I'm going to connect our stream avatars here and then get going. And there we go. All right. So on the list, we've got at least in the title screen here, you know, we load up our logo and then we load, come on, man. What the heck takes so long? All right, we load our logo. We load the particle system, and then the particle system fades out. So we just need to fix this. So tome 1 success state. We need to look at our lava render. We set color to lava alpha, so we must be messing our lava alpha somewhere. Let's see. We have it so that if it's a step 1, we increase it. If it's a step 2, we also increase it. And then if it's a step 3, we also increase it. Okay. I'm going to say we can kind of break this out. You know, we can do... If lava opacity in step 3 is being added, step 4, what the heck is step 4? If demo screen opacity is 0. This is not right. Okay, this is... Shoot. You know what? This is in the tome 1 success state. We're looking for the title screen state. Okay. Okay. We render it in step 1. And it looks like... Yeah, it looks like the last time we set colors based on the logo alpha. So I think we just need to set our color here. And we should have particles during the start menu. Here we go, particles, particles. See, they fade away. What the heck, man? They do fade. We are rendering it like one of the first things. So we just kind of, maybe just switch the order. Just say render our background, right? Render our title screen, and then render our particles. Let's see that. Cool. Yes, yes, yes. I think it looks sweet, man. I think it looks really cool. I like it. I think it looks fucking sick, dude. Okay. So if I pull up what we're looking at here, we've got to do this. We need the green tunic for our death animation. We need to prevent the lute state while in a game over. So let's just make sure to at least do those 2 things. So right now, you know, if we die in the room here, our tunic doesn't render on top of us. properly. So see that we just don't render our tunic. So we need to do this. Oh my. Yeah, we need to do this where we basically need to go find our already made death animation. So where's this death animation? What do we even call that? Player death. Let's do this. Open with a sprite. Dude, it bugs me. We can't do this. It's like I don't want to change every PNG to open with a sprite, but the fact that it's not even like a recommended app to open it with is like really bugs me. There we go. Okay, so we have the player death animation. We need to add the greenTunic overlay. So we'll go here under greenTunic Atlas and just snag the colors. So oh, and you know what? We messed this up, man. We should have done this on a new layer. Because we're not trying to... We could technically save it all. That isn't what we've been doing. Is save the player and all. We normally just save the color layer on top of the player. So... I guess a decent way to maybe do this is we can do this replace to clear. That's not a bad way of doing it. Okay, so we're left with... Where did that red come from? Oh. Okay. Okay, so there is our death greenTunic animation. Okay, so let us save this as... Right, because this is player death, so we're gonna do... Let's just save this as a PNG. We'll call it player death green. Okay, and then we will import it like our other greenTunics. So we'll import it as a texture. And we have this character fall greenTunic. So we will have a character death greenTunic, and it's gonna get an image, and it's called player death green. Right? Now that's a G texture. We need to split it up into quads so that we can have every frame of it. So we're not crashing, so we did that kind of right, or at least not super wrong. Character death, character tack death, tack greenTunic. So let's say right here we want character fall, we want character death greenTunic, and then we're gonna run. We're gonna do this here. Gonna run our generate quads function, and it's gonna take in a texture, and it's gonna be called the same thing, character death greenTunic. Tile size, tile size. Okay, so character death greenTunic is now a quad that we can index at frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, that sort of deal. So the idea is now we go to our entity definitions. For our player, we have an animation, and it's where is it? Falling character fall. How are we rendering? Because I'm not seeing where we got the other tunics. We do have a death. I don't see where we're rendering the other tunics. Let's check that out. So when we render a greenTunic, how are we doing this? We've got this. We kind of just draw the global texture at the same frame. So it's not part of the animation state of our player because our player's still in the falling animation state, but we need to render a greenTunic in the exact location of the fall just so that it appears that the greenTunic's kind of over. So we would do this, right? We would say whenever we go to the fall state, let's go find the fall state. It's not falling chasm, it should be a player fall state. deathState, that's what it is. Okay, so look right here. We're rendering our atlas right one frame at a time wherever the player is. Because we run the change animation. So if we were to add our greenTunic as an animation, we could only do either, the greenTunic or the non-greenTunic. But we kind of do it in the layers. So it's like, well, it's the death animation, but we just render the tunic right over it. So we're going to render our player first. Then we're going to say, okay, well, if our player's tunic equipped is a greenTunic, then we want to render a character death greenTunic atlas at the same character death greenTunic quad. Frame 1? No, this is... Yeah, we don't want to do frame 1. We want to render the current frame. So we're going to render the current frame of our player because we took the character's frame as a starting point and then we added the color. So if we add it, we draw the quad at our player's current frame, and then we place it at our player's X position and our player's Y position. So if we have the greenTunic equipped, we're going to render that greenTunic frame right on top. So let's see. Let's see. We basically just want to test getting killed in a normal way, not a chasm falling way, and then we'll add it to the falling chasm state too. So if we die here, let's look for the greenTunic in our death animation. It worked, man. It worked. It worked. Run away. Okay. That worked. We need it in the falling chasm state though too. So the good news is it's the same death animation. So we should just be able to do this same kind of deal where we just render this if it's equipped in our falling chasm state right here. So we can say after we render our player, we take our anim, we render our player. After that, we're going to say, well, if our player's greenTunic is equipped, go ahead, render at the player's current frame. Yep, the anim.frame. Okay, let's try this. So now if we die in a chasm, I'm hoping we can see the greenTunic in the falling chasm state too, because that would be nice. No. Let's try this. We'll stop booting into the title sequence too. Yo, we've got the greenTunic in the chasm state. Let's go. Yeah, we need to give ourselves some health if we come back from a chasm, you know, like we have it loading. It's just that we turned off the loading for the deployment, so for the web deployment. So I think that's okay. We just have to turn that back on. Yeah. I'm not too worried about that. Okay, so we need to prevent the lute state if our player is dead. I don't know what value gets played when we die. It's just player.dead. So basically when we switch to lute state, so when we say lute state gets true, we basically want to say we also only want to do this, you know, we want to say if we're not dead, then let's go ahead and go put us in the lute state, because we shouldn't be able to play the lute when we're dead. So let's try that. Ooh. Okay, we need to turn... once we go to a meditate, we have to face our player down so we don't trigger another meditate. So let's do that. But I guess... let's see. When we do a change state to meditate... Ooh, meditate... player meditate. We only want to do this if we're not already meditating. So we don't really have a player meditating boolean. But basically this is we want to go here. We want to say that meditate gets true. And then we also need to be meditate false whenever we switch to a walk state. So yeah, we kind of like... Yeah, I guess like whenever we go to walk, if we ever walk, we know we need to just be set to not meditate. I don't like this. I don't like reassigning this here. But also, we don't really have a good way of just checking if, we can say, I don't know. We don't have a good way of doing this. So I don't really like that, but it should work. So if we print up meditate in the play state here, we should be able to see if we did that right. So let's do graphics print, and we will print meditate. Player.meditate. Okay, and then when we go in main here, let's just take out where instead of changing to a title state, we want to just go straight into the play state. And then for now, when we spawn, go to 7.5. Let's go to 4.11. No. 7.5. Meditate is nil. That is jacked up. Player walk state, yeah. Self dot player meditate. Okay. See, meditate should be true there. Yeah, you know what? We could just add it here to the meditate state itself. And then we can just change it back, exiting the meditate state. That's a much better way to do it, I think. So let's do that, where we can say, whenever we update the meditate state, and actually in the init, I feel like it would work. So if we say we want to go into the player's meditate field, get true, and whenever we exit it, we say, oh, by the way, meditate's false now. Okay. Let's see. Nice. Okay. So now we just need to stop the meditate initialization if we're already meditated, right? So we can't... Yeah, basically, we don't want any of the dialog boxes to trigger for meditating. So, I guess what we can do is... This is it. Dialogue detection collide. So if action... This is a little weird. Well, let's just say end not player meditate. Then let's go ahead and check that. So this should prevent us from opening a dialog box if we're meditating. So we can open up that, or open up interact with the dialog box if we're meditating. So we're meditating, we hit space, we don't do this thing. We can still cast, but we have to wake up in order to meditate again, which is good. And that fixes it for all directions, right? Because if we were to just do it, if we were to just change our player facing down, because we're actually technically not facing, we're still facing whatever direction we were when we interacted with the idol. But it didn't update. So I don't think that's a big deal. Maybe one frame of mistake when we're like this, you know. Yeah, I bet if you were to do like a really frame by frame analysis, you'd see that holding down after a right initialize meditate actually gets us one frame of facing right before it goes back down. I'm not too worried about that though. Okay. Let's get that meditate debug off, and we'll see what else we can do. I did find a bug with the lute. If we have the lute equipped and we're pushing, maybe not. I thought, oh, like that. Look at that. So look, see how there's no lute in his hand at that point? So I don't know why we don't render the lute there. We're probably like... Huh. Yeah. I don't know why that is. We can see when we render the lute and when we don't. Might have to do with pushing. Lute equip is what we're looking for. So when we render lute equip, what conditions do we render that at? And we do it if the lute is in our item slot, then we go ahead and render it. That's just in the pause state though. In the walk state, we render it if we're not pushing. So we might still be technically pushing if we walk down out of a push. I don't know when we trigger this push. So it would gotta be, yeah, it's gotta be this pushing. So let's just print up when we're pushing and we'll see. I bet this is pushing true. Yep. So see how it's thinking we're pushing even though we are clearly not pushing until we let go of stuff. So we have to see when we flush this pushing. So in a player walk state, we have this, like, where are we doing this? This is our first pushing gets true. So let's see what block this is. Player to pushables collision. If our scene isn't shifting, we cycle through all our collidable map objects. If the object that we're checking is a pushable and the item is not falling and we are not falling and the crate is not completely broken and it's active, then we're going to check all of the collision between us and the map object. Okay, then we're going to increment this push timer. And then we check what direction we are. Set pushing to true. So the pushing to true isn't what's wrong, it's the flushing to false that's wrong. So this is fine for detecting the push, but we're not flushing it correctly. So it's almost like, see, and this is tough because it's like we're checking a bunch of collidable map objects, so we can't just say if we're colliding with it, set it to push, otherwise false, because if we do that otherwise false, the next time we check a box that we're not colliding with, it's going to hit that otherwise false and just overwrite any valid trues. So we have to find out some way to do this. we have a way where we're setting it to false, because it does get set to false. And the thing is, we're setting it to false, I think, in the idle state. In the player idle state. Yep. See, so right here we're saying, okay, well, if we're in the idle state, we know we're not pushing, which is one way to do it. But it's almost like we need to do it not in just the idle state, in the walk state too, because this is where it's messing up. So we can say this where, see, and we can't just go do it for, we can't just do that else false here, because chances are we're not colliding with, every collidable map object. So we can say, yeah, trigger it to true if we're colliding with any object, but only trigger it to false if we're not colliding with any object, not any one object, but 0 objects. And we don't have a decent way to do this. I guess we could do this thing where it's like, I guess what we could do is set this, we can set like a local like collide count, right? And then any one we actually collide with, let's go ahead and, yeah, if we collide with any of those things, we're just going to increment our collide count. Okay, we're going to increment that. And then if our collide count is 0, we know by the end of this, oh my gosh, man. So yeah, we're looking for right here, the end of this statement. So wherever our cursor is, wherever that one ends, we want to add a line right after that. Okay, so right here, if collide count is 0, meaning we haven't collided with any of the things after cycling through all of them. If collide count's equal to 0, then we know we aren't pushing. So let's say gPlayer dot pushing is false. And if we're idle, we know we're not pushing either. So let's test this. And we flush it right before we check. So let's see. See, it doesn't even think we're pushing anymore. Player pushing is false. Yeah, if we turn this off, we'll get back to pushing. Yeah, fuck. Okay. Okay, well, this is... Oh, we don't want to reset it to 0 every time. We want to set it to 0 here. Okay, so we want to put that check at the end of this one. Yeah, we flushed our collide count to 0. Well, let's see if it fixes it. Okay. Nice. That should fix it. So let's try. So if we've got our lute, now we're going to be pushing, walk down. We still see the lute. That's good. Yeah, so look how our like lute kind of gets equipped when we walk down from a push. Now it doesn't render, it doesn't render until we're like not pushing up against the, because I'm pushing left into the wall, so I'm technically pushing it even when I'm walking down like that. This is okay though. I mean, the big thing is that now I can't walk to the other screen without the lute being on there. So that's good. we got that. So let's take out our play state debug. Okay. Oops. Okay. I might call it a night. Just late, you know. Yes, this is good. This is good. Yep, I think this is good. Okay, so we fixed what, 3 bugs today? Not bad. We'll say that we addressed a tunic. We add greenTunic death animation. Alright, we get pushed, we'll find a homie to raid here. Thanks for watching, everybody. A little short of a stream. It was a Friday. I put off streaming too late, so we fixed like 3 bugs today though, so 4 bugs, because we got the title screen particle system fixed too, so that's very good. Let's run credits and we will call it a night. Demo still planning, coming out end of this month, so we'll see if we can stick to that schedule. Let's hope we can. We'll raid out to our homie Brightside. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with some more programming streams.